Hello everyone. Let's wait for a few minutes to be sure that everyone is connected. Okay, I think that we can start. And first of all, I wanted to tell that this is my first webinar in English, so if I make some mistakes, please don't be rude. And I tell everything I knew. And after I finish my presentation, you will have a time to write all your comments. And maybe if you have some questions, you will also will have an opportunity to write them in a chat. So before we will start, please write in comments if you see me, if you see my screen, and if you hear me well. Okay, I see first comments. Then we can start. My name is Dasha. I'm from Kiev. I'm from Ukraine, and I work as a deputy CMO of one of the biggest food tech delivery service called Rocket. And a few words about my experience. I'm in marketing for the last 7 years, and I had a really broad clientele with projects all over the world. So I had increased an ROI on 300% for a furniture store in Kazakhstan. Also, I know how to rent out cars, luxury cars in United Arab Emirates. And also, I made a research for a store of electronics and understood that around 30% of users who make purchases offline were used a website before they come to offline. As I told you, I work in a Rocket. And what is Rocket? Rocket is a food delivery service. We are in Ukraine for the last 2 years. And we cover 27 Ukrainian cities. So we work in the biggest Ukrainian cities. And we deliver food from 3,000 restaurants. And among them, we have McDonald's and KFC as our partners. Now we have more than 3 million installs. And according to Sensor Towers data, in 2020, we have got into the top 10 of food delivery apps by downloads in Europe. And for the last few months, we have started our work in the Netherlands and in Cyprus. Now we have a goal to expand our business to 10 new countries this year. So that's why I'm conducting this webinar. I want to share my knowledges, which I have got since we have started our expansion. And what you will know from this webinar. I will tell you what is the most important in a communication strategy creation, how to choose marketing channels, what is a growth model, and how to calculate your growth model. Is it possible to develop a product without marketing research? And what is the most important in product development from a marketing standpoint? And also, I will share you some must-know analytical approach. So let's start. The first thing that we will discuss is a communication strategy. And before creating a new product or before launching a product in a new market, either it's a local market or a new country, maybe you come up to a question, and this is the most important question in a business development. Who is my audience, and what our audience's needs will be covered by my product? And you don't need to answer this question by yourself. You just need to gather hypotheses and then speak with other people. When we have been creating a strategy for Rocket, we gather with a focus group and then we ask them questions whether they order food or not. Why they order food? What's the most important for them in food delivery apps? Which food do they prefer, and what functionality do they want to have in our app? And running such inquiries, you need to remember the following. You need to remember that all these interrogations are running to understand the way of your user's thoughts. And after you get the result, you should confirm it with quantitative research. And you must be really picky for the data you get, because you will build your business based on that data. And this data can lead you to great results or to a great failure. And again, why it's so crucial to double check all the data you have? Because people lie, and a strong man will never admit that he listens to Britney Spears while he is alone. So, returning to a communication strategy, we have talked to our users and we understood that all our users have their own pains and their own needs. And taking into account that a market of a food delivery is a new market in Ukraine, and our Ukrainian users don't have a habit to order food in a daily basis, we understood that we want to emphasize all moments when our users can take an advantage of a food delivery service. Thus, we invented Rocket Moments. And what is a Rocket Moment? Um, Rocket Moment can be a moment when you burn out your dinner. Or a rocket moment can be a moment when your dog ate your dinner. So any of us know more than 100 of such moments, rocket moments. So we have invented rocket moments. We spoke with our audience. We know our audience's needs and pains. After we have created a strategy, we have created creatives, and we distributed them among all marketing channels, but it was not the end. Once we did this, we did it once again, because since we're launching a rocket in a new country, we are adapting our strategy for each new country we are going to. Um, why this is so important? Because a new country means new users' needs and new users' habits. For example, food delivery market in Ukraine is a new market. Therefore, we need to tell our users how we can be useful for them, why they need to order food. We need to explain them that when they order food, they save their time. But for example, when we went to Cyprus, we understood that our users on Cyprus already have a habit to order food. And that's why we need to emphasize some new rocket moments. On Cyprus, we understood that we that Cyprus users order drinks, for example, while in Ukraine, our Ukrainian users don't do this. Therefore, it's crucial for us to have partners who sell coffee and some drinks on Cyprus, while it's not so crucial in Ukraine. What's the most important you need to remember every time you're creating a strategy? You need to create this strategy based on your users' needs and their habits. And that's all about communication strategy. And the next thing that we will discuss is a growth model. So you understand your audience needs, you understand how to develop your product, and what you will do next. The next is to set up a goal and how to do this. Growth model can help you to do this. And a growth model is may sound really impressive, but growth model is just a spreadsheet, and we will use the spreadsheet to understand what to focus on, how to get to break even, or how to earn more money by manipulating a particular metric. A growth model is our navigation compass, which will show us if our growth expectations are wild dreams or not, and how to prioritize our growth opportunities. Before we will dive deeply into growth model discussion, it's important to note that every growth model is different, just as every product is different. There is no one size fits all model that works across all products, but there are some general concepts and mechanics that we can use to be sure that we will create a growth model that will lead us to our results. What does a growth model consist of? Growth model consists of assumptions and calculations based on that assumptions. Among assumptions, you should use the following. The first one is marketing. On this step, we will define which marketing channels we will use and how we will split our budget between our marketing instruments. The next one is purchase funnel. On this step, we will assume how we will convert new users to active users and how we will prevent our users from churning. The third one is our business plan. On this step, we should define the price of our product. How much money should a subscription for our product cost? And which average check we should have. And the last, but maybe not least, is an investment. On this step, we should answer which investments we must have to achieve our goal. The only one thing I wanted to ask you before you will calculate your own growth model is not to try to predict everything. You should create a mid-quality model because if you want to get 100 accuracy, you might come up with over 100 variables, and then it will be difficult for you to work with such a model. Okay, on this slide, you can see an example of how a growth model may look like. On the left side, you can see assumptions and calculations for two marketing instruments, for Google search campaigns and for Google shopping campaigns. Numbers which are highlighted in orange are assumed numbers, and numbers which are highlighted in black are calculated numbers. On the right side, you can see a table with total results. Thus, we can see that by allocating more budget into Google Shopping campaigns, we can get more transactions in total. Also, working with these tables, we can calculate how we can change the total number of transactions by changing a conversion rate of each instrument. And while we will do this, we can generate some hypotheses on how we will work with conversion rate increase. For example, based on experience, we can assume that by changing a bid strategy or in Google search campaigns, we can increase conversion rate into 1%. And it will lead us to transactions increase by 17%. Also, we need to remember that growth model are about inputs, not about outputs. It's not your reporting, but it's an instrument for your plans, for your assumptions. And if you're going to expand a business to a new country, you should create such a model every time you're going to a new country. Each new country you're going to means each new model you must to calculate. 10 new countries equals two growth models. While I'm calculating the growth for rockets, first of all, I'm paying attention to the quantity of new users and which frequency do they have. For me, the number of transactions is a secondary metric, and this is due to a type of our business. Our users have much higher frequency in terms of purchases than, for example, users of a furniture store, because people eat a few times a day, but buy furniture only once in a few years. And that's why it's crucial for projects with high frequency to work with cohorts. And what are cohorts? Cohorts are users segments splitted by time periods. And on this slide, you can see an example of cohorts visualization. Thus, according to the table on the right, we can see that on May, we have attracted 50 users to our product, and only 25 of them returned to our product in June. Also, we see that in June, we have attracted 104 new users to our project. So this means that total number of users that we have in June is 129. You can also turn absolute numbers into relative values, as I made in a table on the left, and see that around 50% of your users return in the second month. Cohorts can be built based on different users' events. So we can create cohorts based on users' purchases, or we can split our users by their registrations, or we can build our cohorts with numbers of users who use some particular product functionality. Also, working with cohorts, you should pay an attention to the best cohorts and the first, and figure out what makes them stand out. For example, look at the table on the left. Here you can see that users who were attracted to a product in June returned better on the second and on the third month. And looking at this table, we can make a conclusion, for example, that we found out really good marketing instrument to attract users, because these new users have better retention. And how can we use all this information about cohorts in our growth model calculation? While we are calculating an amount of traffic, we can divide our traffic into new users and returning users, and then assume how each cohort will behave according to and according to this assumption, we can calculate how many orders we will receive. For example, according to the table on the left, we see that the number of installs not change from month to month, but we see also we split all these installs into new users and returning users, and according to the numbers in the table on the right, we see that on the third month, while our total number of installs was not changed, the number of total of transactions were increased, and also our transactions were increased by our returning users. So that was all about our growth model, and the next thing that we will discuss is our marketing channels. While we are calculating our growth model, we can have a question: which marketing channels do we need to use, and how to split our budget between our marketing instruments? To answer this question, we can take a glance into our purchase funnel. And while we're looking at this purchase funnel, we need to understand that all our marketing instruments can be attributed to a particular step of our purchase funnel. So, for example, we will use display advertisement, out-of-home advertisement, radio, and TV in the top of purchase funnel, while we will use Google Shopping campaigns and remarketing ad campaigns in the middle of a purchase funnel, and on the bottom of purchase funnel, we will use direct marketing instruments. So we will use our out-of-home advertisement to tell new users about us, to tell new users about our product, to build new habits. But we will use SMS, emails, communication in messengers to work with our contact base, to work with users who already use our product. They don't need to get advertisement of who we are and what are we selling. They already know this information. And after we divided all our marketing instruments by purchase funnel steps, we can understand that we will measure all of them in a different way. So, for example, our out of home can be measured by brand awareness. Our Google Shopping ad campaigns can be measured by macro conversions, by transactions, and by revenue that we've got from these Google Shopping ad campaigns. And how to choose your marketing instruments. To answer this question, you need to also to answer to other questions: is what budget do you have, and what is your goal? For example, when you are going to a new market, you may have a goal to increase your brand awareness. To do this, you need to work in the top of purchase funnel, and that's why you need to work with display ad campaigns and with TV and radio ad campaigns. But if you don't want to increase your brand awareness, or you don't have enough money to increase brand awareness, you can work in the middle of purchase funnel, or maybe in the bottom of purchase funnel. And in that's why you will need to use Google Shopping or Google Search ad campaigns. Okay, we discussed how we can create our communication strategy, how we will plan our success, and how we will choose our marketing instruments. And now let's discuss, is it possible to work with without a product development team? The answer is simple. No product team must work with help of marketing, because we need to develop our product based on our users' needs. That's why we can make research and ask our people if they need some functionality in our app or not. We can ask them what functionalities they want to have in our app. And based on our users' segments, we can create our product. And when we have created our product, then we can split all our audience into segments by their frequency. For example, in Rocket, we have a few user segments. Some of them order food once a month. Some of them order food in a weekly basis. And other people order food on a daily basis. And all these segments are different. And maybe users who order food only once a month don't understand how food delivery service can be helpful for them. And in this way, we need to explain them that a food delivery service is to use food delivery service can be not so expensive, and they can also order food not only in bad weather, but also they can order food while they're having a party. Then we can tell them that it's really simple to order food in daily basis, and it will save their time. So working in a product, we need to create our personalized communication for each user segment, and then push our users from monthly frequency into weekly frequency, and from weekly frequency into daily frequency. And we will do this using direct marketing instruments such as emails, push messages, and communication in messengers such as Viber or WhatsApp. And also, we need to remember that every market is different. That's why we need to create separate communication for each market we are working on. And the last thing I wanted to tell you is I wanted to share some analytical approach, and this is my favorite thing. So we have discussed moments when we need to use display advertisement, and we have discussed that we will use display advertisement in the top of purchase funnel. After we launch our display ad campaigns, we don't need to measure result by post-click analysis. What is a post-click analysis? Imagine a user who is watching a film, and then interrupt this user by our ad. In this moment, this user don't have he doesn't want to go to our website and make a purchase. On this moment, user wants to continue watching his serial or his film. That's why if we will measure our display ads by post-click analysis, we will see a low number of clicks and low number of conversions. And this analysis is not correct because usually 90% of conversions are made by users who watch our ad and then return to our website in a day or maybe in a week or maybe even in a month later. So we need to attribute our conversions not to clicks but to views. And the next thing that I wanted to share with you is RFM analysis. What is RFM analysis? Also, this analysis is known as recency, frequency, and monetary analysis. When we do this analysis, we split our users by segments, by recency and frequency of their purchases. And for example, look at the table in at the down of this slide. Here we can see that new users are users who made a purchase for the last 30 days and they made only one purchase. Who are loyal users? Loyal users are users who make their purchases from 0 day to a 90 day and they made 5 and more purchases. Okay, we have split our users by these segments, and then we need to create different communications with all of them. For example, when we communicate with new users, we need to tell them why they need to use our product. We need to tell them what functionality can be helpful for them. But when we speak to loyal users, we don't need to tell them why do they need to order from us because they already know this information. But we can send them some discounts or personal promos. And also, when we are talking to users who made 2 and maybe more purchases 90 days ago, we can ask them why they don't return to our product and don't make any new purchases. We can ask them a feedback and then correct our work based on this feedback. And also, it's important to remember that you can split your audience based on your business type. For some business type, it will be good to split our audience by 30 days time period. But for other businesses, it can be good to split our audience on bigger time periods because, for example, when we sell some expensive products. Our users don't have really high frequency. And that's all that I wanted to tell you. And to summarize all this webinar, um, we can we can we need to remember the following. We need to speak with our audience, and we need to build our product and our strategy based on the information that we get from our audience. We need to build a product not for us, but for our users. Then we need to plan our success. And to do this, we can use growth model. And we need to create a strategy, each new strategy for each new country we are going to. And also we need to create a growth model, new growth model for each new country we are going to. Then we need to remember that there are a lot of marketing instruments, but each marketing instrument can be attributed to the particular part of a product funnel. Also, we can split our users by their retention, and to users who have low retention, for example, to have monthly retention, we can explain why they need to use our product and push them from monthly retention to weekly or even daily retention. And then we need to remember, and we may use to analytical approach is post-view analysis to be sure that we measure our display ad campaigns as good as possible. And also we need to use RFM analysis to segment our users and to create separate communication for each segment. And that's all. If you have some questions, you can write them in chat, and I will answer them right now. And maybe if you don't have questions now, but you will get them later, I'm always open, so you can write me in LinkedIn, and I think that we will organizers will help me to share this information with you, so you will have a link to my LinkedIn. Waiting for questions. Thank you that you have shared my LinkedIn. What are the metrics you are measuring on the day-to-day basis? We measure users. So how many installs do we have? And also it's crucial for us to measure conversion rates from an install to a new user. No, and also it's very important for us to measure orders. But like it's the most important metrics, but if you talk to PPC specialists, they dive deeply into their analysis and may look like to some other metrics, and our direct marketing specialist also looks at frequency, also looks at churning. So the answer can be different for each marketing instrument and each marketing stream. Also, I can have a delay in a connection. So let's wait a few minutes. Maybe someone else also write a comment. How did you choose new countries to launch? Oh, this is really a difficult question because um, to choose a country we are going to, we made research and also we ask external agency to help us with this question because choosing a country, we looked into many different metrics. We looked into some economical factors. We check if this market is new for us or not, if we have some demand on this market, if users have some habits to water food or not, what average check can be at that market, which can also influence on our uh, profitability. So it's difficult to answer these questions because we have made a really huge work to do this and analyze this really many metrics. Okay, I think that we can end our webinar. If you have some questions, please find me on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and I will be happy to answer. Bye.